What have you learned from your audience feedback? So I did quite a lot of audience feedback because I thought it was quite important to just well, it's the audience that's watching it, so they need to make the final decisions and stuff, because I may be happy with it but I'm not my audience. So throughout different stages I asked them different things. I used different programs such as SurveyMonkey, which it was quick and easy to use, but it was very limited in what it could do. It could ask questions and that was it. Later on I found a site just like SurveyMonkey called Typeform, which allowed you to attach videos and pictures, and I haven't fully looked into it yet, but I used that once or twice and that was really, really useful. I used Facebook quite a lot as our target audience is teenagers, social media people, school kids, like just kind of between the ages of like 13 and 20, and a lot of them are very attached to social media. They're stereotypically known for being on social media, so I thought spread it around Facebook a bit, and because the focus group or our target audience is people my age, and so I'll be friends with all the people that our target audience is. Facebook was really, really useful actually, because it allowed me to ask questions, attach my video, attach pictures and go, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need to know, what do you guys think? But a lot of the time, out of laziness or whatever reasons people had, a lot of people just go, it's good, I like it, yep, great. And it's just like, it was good that I was getting feedback, but that's not the kind of, it was very vague, didn't give me any room for improvement. Another form of audience feedback which I used throughout the whole making of the project was test screenings and audience comments, because I would do a bit of editing and show, like I'd bring one person in, like someone that was in the room, I'd just be like, oh you, show them the bit and go, do you like it like that? Or show them a different bit with slightly different editing and go, which version do you prefer better? That was really useful, and I got loads of really useful feedback from that because they were there. The only issue I had was remembering it all, because sometimes I didn't have anything to write it down with, and I'm a fool. But a lot of the time they'd give really, really useful feedback, and it helped me so much because it meant I could go, this version or this version, we'll have that one, that one, that one, put them all together, do you like it like that? There's a bit of jump there, and they'd point things out I didn't necessarily notice, like jumps. It was pointed out to me that a tripod was in the frame at one point because I'd not framed it very carefully, and so I was able to crop that out before anyone else noticed it and before it became a major problem. Throughout the process of gaining audience feedback whilst creating my music video, there was a lot of things I've changed and edited. First bit is the photo bit. So in the first verse we've got our blonde actress Becky, and she rips up some photos and stuff. In this bit the audience didn't like, because we'd put all the photos up on a photo wall and then we'd filmed all the photos across, and the audience didn't like that. They said it wasn't clear what was going on, it wasn't clear of the relevance of the photos, and looking back at it I could see actually you can't really see the photos, you can't see what's going on because it just moves. So I changed that, and instead I got the photos, I downloaded the photos onto my computer and I put them in an order and just flashed them on screen and added a cool scratchy facey bit influenced by the woman in black, just to show the hatred that's been added and make everything a bit clearer. I also added an extra shot with Becky, with the actresses, because I'd done, so she was sat there and it zoomed in, and then it did the photos, which I changed. and then it had a shot of her like that, and then more photos. But in the shot where she's like that, I mean, I've got it from a couple of different angles, but one audience member said that they didn't like that clip just being that clip, and we should add something else in that gap, because that clip just, it didn't fit to the beat. The cut was too slow, and watching it back I completely agreed with them. So we added a shot in there in the beginning bit. So we've done the Wizzy into the school bit, and then you've got everyone walking into the photo bit where there's suddenly loads of people. I got a lot of audience feedback from this actually, because I wasn't sure what I thought about it. I was using a lot of opacityness. I was lowering the opacity quite a lot, and I was also I was just trying to make it a little bit like I slowed down the clips just to emphasise the busyness, but the fact that no one really cares and they're all a bit zombie-like. Got it from all different angles, and then I got an audience member have a look at it, and they said that all was great, they loved it, but the tone wasn't quite right. They suggested adding an effect to fix this, which I did, and I loved it. The effect I added was called Bleach Bypass, and it just made everything darker, emphasised the black, but what it also did was it emphasised the light, so like all of this light around here would be brighter, which meant, so like my face, so like all of the faces would be paler, but the clothes would be darker, and this looked so good. I then went on to use it in most of my other clips as well, but I wouldn't have even thought about that if it hadn't have been suggested. Another thing I used the audience for was debating. George and Josh have a fight scene. In that fight scene, I didn't know if it was going to be clear what was going on, because there was a lot of and a shove, and to me that didn't show. It showed it, but not well enough for me. So we considered using speech. So there was words like sit down, and then there was a bit that was like try me. It was quite aggressive, but no one liked it. But then what I also did is I changed some of the cuts around, because there were some bits where Josh's arm was like that and then it was down there, and so I changed that, which added continuity a lot better, made it clearer. One thing that actually helped make the whole thing clearer was in this one bit, it's really, really obvious that George is saying the F word. I did try and tell him not to swear, but however, it was pointed out to me that you could see it, and I looked into similar kind of genre music, so like punk rock, so like Sum 41, Green Day, Blink-182, other My Chem videos, and one thing they all seemed to do is, because they're quite swear heavy stuff, on like radio edits and stuff, they'd blur the mouth. So I blurred his mouth, and that again makes it clear that he's having a fight. One thing I used a lot of audience feedback on as well was the instrumental bit. This was really, really difficult to film actually, because we had to play the song, everyone had to hear it, and hearing the song on a phone with a drum kit playing in the background isn't the easiest of things. Our bass player dropped out last minute, so we had to use someone that didn't really know how to play bass, which was fantastic. But she did really good actually. Then, so we filmed, we had some opinions on the lighting, which we changed it to make it darker, which actually worked quite well. And then what we did was we started editing. One of our audience members pointed out that it wasn't quite in time, and I watched it through a few times and everything was in time except the bass. And it wasn't that the bass wasn't in time, because it was just not fast enough in time. Didn't really know what to do. And then it just kind of came to me that actually if I speed it up, so I sped it up, and the audience members said it was so much better. I also adjusted the colour, because the band bit is more of a performance aspect. I tried to just slightly alter the colours from the colours shown in the narrative. So the narrative's quite dark and dreary and boring, so I added some reds and oranges in this bit, and the audience quite liked that actually. I was also playing about with effects, just because, well, I wanted to see what looked good and what didn't, and I found this effect, I can't remember what it was called, but it did kind of this, so it would zoom in, it would do a zoom into the centre, zoom into the side, zoom in across and then zoom out. And I quite liked it, but I wasn't sure if it had the effect, if it portrayed the tone, if it, because it zoomed in a lot and moved about a lot, it kind of skipped off a lot of stuff. But I asked what the audience thought and showed them it with and without, and they liked it with because it was quick, it was fast paced and matched the pace of the song. Because of this, I also added in a split screen bit, but it's not a split screen, it's like the video in the same, except the split screen draws out, so it becomes more and more and more, and then it goes back in, and this is all in time with the music, and the audience liked that bit as well. I also had the audience just look at the timings of everything and see if they thought it fit. Ben, with our actor Ben's, he does a bit where he sings solo with a microphone behind a brick wall. I wasn't sure what to do for a background there, because I'd filmed it behind a green screen, because then it means I can just experiment with backgrounds. And I wasn't, if I could do this again, I don't think there's too much I'd do differently, if I'm honest, because it all went relatively according to plan. Few things we had to change, but I like them changed. But if I had to do this again, there are still a few things I'd change. The lip-syncy bit just looks really messy. None of the audience like it. I think that's the biggest comment I've been getting. I don't like it, and it's not what we'd got planned for that bit. It was just down to time, so I think I'd get all the little difficult bits done sooner. Another bit I'd do differently is my actors Josh and George, in the first verse they have an argument, and it just drags on a bit, and it's a bit, none of the audience, some of the audience understand this, some don't necessarily notice it, but it does drag on a bit. If I were to do that bit again, I think I'd choreograph it better, because I'd got the shot list, I'd got all the different shots, and there's loads of different shots and it's great, but they're just doing the same 5 seconds in different angles, filling a 20-second gap, or it's not quite 20 seconds, but you know what I mean. And it loses the effect. The shove's nice, and this swearing blurry bit is, I like that, but the other bits, that's just something I'd change. And then there's another lip-syncing bit, which is, it features our guitarist, actor, and the cuts jump about a little bit because the actor, I'd kind of put him on the spot a little bit and gone, can you do this right now, because I've got time and this bit needs filling. And then we had trouble getting the green screen up, and so it all just we tried to fit it in too quickly, and I got loads of angles and it was great, but there's one bit in the shot where it jumps way before the beat and it doesn't look right or anything, but I couldn't drag that clip on any longer or have it any shorter because he flips the microphone and looks really stupid, and that is just something I want to change, and I would definitely change it if I had to do things differently.